A Prayer in Spring by Robert Frost.
Robert Frost. He was an American poet. He is known for his realistic depictions of rural life and his command of American colloquial speech. He was the first poet to read at a presidential inauguration. John F. Kennedy invited Frost to do a reading at his 1961 inauguration, though Frost prepared a poem called Dedication for the ceremony. He had a hard time reading the lightly typed words in the sun's glare. In the end, that didn't matter. The poet ended up reciting a different piece, a poem from his heart, called The Gift Outright. No one has matched his Pulitzer Prize record. Frost took home the award in poetry a whopping 4 times. No other poet has yet managed to win on 4 occasions. His epitaph is taken from one of his poems, The Lesson for Today. It's a poem written by Robert Frost. I had a lover's quarrel with the world is the last line from his poem. Another interesting fact about Robert Frost was that he was nominated for Nobel Prize in Literature for 31 times. Important works of Robert Frost are Birches, The Road Not Taken, Mending Wall, etc.
Robert Frost's poem under the title A Prayer in Spring immediately shows the expression of gratitude to God's blessing. That relates to the whole content of the poem through a prayer. This delightful little prayer poem, A Prayer in Spring, is spoken in 4 stanzas, each composed of 2 rhyme couplets. As the speaker prays to the divine beloved, the God, he is also inviting his audience to become as delighted in the springing of the year.
Now we can go through the lines. First stanza. Oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. The speaker is addressing the divine beloved or the Almighty God. So the first stanza is an address to the divine beloved. The speaker is requesting that he and his fellow neighbors be afforded the foresight and the ability to appreciate the current season's qualities. The speaker requests that they all might be able to take pleasure in the flowers today. When we go through the first line, oh, give us pleasure in the flowers today. It says that live and enjoy the present situation. Why are you concerned about the future? And he suggests that they refrain from putting their thoughts only on the coming uncertain harvest. The third line, as the uncertain harvest keep us here. Because the farmers begin their spring season by planting and cultivating. They would naturally be looking forward to the ripe resource with its benefits of food and money. The speaker, however, is urging them to contemplate with enjoyment the season dedicated to planting and tending. After all, it is a season of new birth, a time when they begin their valuable work, and then continue that work of cultivation that later will result in the fine, necessary, and hopefully abundant harvest. By calling the harvest uncertain, the speaker lays his emphasis on the very much needed ability to live in the moment, instead of constantly looking to the future for enjoyment. Why are you concerned about the future possibilities? When you give more importance to your future, you will lose the beauty of the current activities or the current situation. And there is the possibility of being disappointed in the future if the harvest does not result in all that quality produce. Second stanza. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard wide, like nothing else by day, like ghost by night, and make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees. Here, the speaker then dramatizes the qualities of spring that usually supply enjoyment as they happen. The orchard wide refers to the budding flowers that will later provide the ripe fruit they will gather in fall. However, the speaker wishes that his audience of fellow farmers will appreciate the beauty of those blooms. Now they may take pleasure in them, even during the night time when they appear like ghosts. The speaker also requests from the Lord that the speaker and his fellow farmers be able to experience happiness with the happy bees that perform the important task of buzzing the blooms of orchids, spreading the pollen that fosters the continued growth of fruit. The speaker seeks from the Creator that the divine may endow his fellows with these appreciative attitudes, with powers of observation which likely he seldom sees in them.
Third stanza. And make us happy in the darting bird that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor that thirsts in with needle bill, and of a blossom in mid-air stands still. Here in the stanza, the speaker is observing and appreciating delight. The speaker prays for them all to be happy in the darting bird, a hummingbird that seems to move like a meteor, as it thirsts in with needle bill, and of a blossom in mid-air stands still. Because the speaker has felt such delight in observing those sights, he is seeking assistance from the Lord to encourage his fellow citizens of relatives, neighbors, and friends to have the ability to find out joy and experience pleasure that those natural spring time delights offer. Fourth stanza. For this is love and nothing else is love, the which it is reserved for God above. To sanctify to what far ends he fill, but which it only needs that we fulfill. Finally, the speaker puts forward his reason for requesting of the divine that he tap the minds and even the hearts of his fellows. This speaker firmly believes that this is love and nothing else is love. The speaker feels strongly that there are many aspects of life that are not understood well by the human heart and mind, which means they simply have to be left only to God. However, the simple pleasures of spring are completely understandable and free for everyone to experience. Those pleasures of each season cost nothing and are given freely to everyone. They offer much enjoyment to each human observer, and this speaker wants to urge his fellows to feel the same joy and love he has experienced as he has observed those seasonal qualities.
Summary of the poem. In the first stanza, show about a prayer to God for happiness in the moment, because it reminded that the present contains a bunch of wonderful gifts. One of those is springtime, that means a time of rebirth or a time of fertility. In addition, the author asks that we don't put our minds on the uncertain harvest. It means that we do not allow to think about something in the future that is still unreachable and unpredictable. In second stanza, Frost asking God for happiness and wants us to be happy along with everything else God has created. The author wants us to observe its beauty of God's creations now and enjoy it. Even at night, when it resembles ghosts, the last line tells us a progression of happy creatures going about the daily routine by expanding their activities in the beautiful trees. In third stanza, show that the author asked God for his friends, neighbors, and relatives be able to discover pleasure and joy in these natural springtime delights. It can took by the author who depicts happy in the darting bird, a hummingbird that resembles a meteor, as it thirsts in with needle bill. In the last line, a blossom in mid-air stands still. So by look this situation, the author prays to God for people around him. In the end stanza, Frost brings a person to aware and offers his reasoning that all of God's creation is love. He believes that so many things in life are incomprehensible to the human mind and heart, therefore must be left to God, and he asks us to send our best gratitude to God for the beautiful of everything.
Analysis of A Prayer in Spring. We could see a beautiful rhyming pattern in this poem. When we closely analyze this poem, we could find out metaphor, simile, personification, hyperbole, etc. In the first and second stanza, we could find out hyperbole. Frost uses it to depict the passion of the spring and makes it sound like he prays to be able to find the pleasure in springtime. Metaphor can be seen in the third stanza. In this case, the author means that the meteor is bird which fly quickly through the air. And simile can be seen in the first and second stanza. In the first stanza, the author compares between our mind of the future and the condition of the uncertain harvest by using and give us not to think so far away as the uncertain harvest. In the second stanza, the simile uses the word like nothing else by day, like ghost by night. This simile compare with the line before, who give us happy in the darting bird. So the first comparison is between the orchard white and nothing else by day. The second comparison is between the orchard white and ghost by night. A Prayer in Spring poem is a beautiful poem by Robert Frost. The poem is about expression of God's love and asks us to pray for getting happiness or pleasure like in the springtime. That is gifted by God at present and not think of anything unpredictable in the future. Cause the future is God's secret that is planned for his creatures. The beauty of this poem also seen of style that used in this poem, such as the nice rhyme and several kinds of figurative language. So this poem not only good to take the sense but also good and nice to heard.